name is Ianthia, and this is my story. I grew up in a home that most people consider nowadays the norm. My father was in and out of my childhood during my teenage years.
And when he would come back home after weeks or perhaps even years, we'd have to basically return back to this normal setting.
That turned into a lot of questions inside and no answers. And that transitioned into a lot of anger and rage, and I soon became rebellious. And I started to run away from home. And as I would be on the streets, I would basically be in the company of the wrong crowds. That soon turned into me dropping out of school, and I joined a gang. I remember one time in particular, there was this rival that I was having a physical altercation with, and
I was basically the aggressor, and she was lying on the ground, and at one point she just pretty much just stopped. She stopped fighting, and she began to hold her arms up and cover her face.
I could hear the roars of the crowd, the excitement, a lot of adrenaline from the fight.
And I could hear this voice that said, "Ianthia, I have more for you. This is not what I've chosen for you."
And that was the first time where I could remember, where I could recall the Lord like speaking to me, and I actually was obedient. I actually walked in the obedience, and I stopped. Later on, I was in a drug house or a trap, and which is what they were known by. And me and all of my other fellow gang members, and we were sitting inside the house, and all of a sudden we heard this loud boom, this loud bang, and it was the door being knocked down. Police did. As they let us out to the street, and they laid all of us face down on the concrete, and they happened to place me on the end, and there was this spotlight, this light. It was a street light, and the street light was so bright. It was dark outside. It was so bright. It was beaming. And it just seemed like in fact, it was beaming just like right in the area where I was, in like the latter part of the row of people. And I remember looking up at the light, saying, "Lord, if you could just get me out of this one. Just this time, I promise." And police walked down to the end, and they said, "You." And then the other one right next to me, "And you, get up. And you all can go." So later on, I was actually accused of being the one, because I was the new kid on the block. I was accused of being the one to call the police or bring the police.
And at that time, I was basically called out, which ultimately meant that this person, this man who was saying that I was the one that brought the police on, was basically saying he wanted to fight me. And we went out, and as we went out to the street,
myself on the ground and him on top of me, and he was swinging as hard as he could to try to kill me. All of a sudden, something happened. He just stopped. He stopped. He got up. I got up. And as I began to walk away, I was noticing that I wasn't even hurt. I didn't have a scratch. I didn't have a bruise. Nothing. And it was clear that the Lord had covered me, literally. And I walked away. Yet again, there's that street light. And this was during the daytime, and the street light was on. And I felt like that was a clear indication at that point in time of God saying, "I'm with you. I have you covered. You just have to follow my lead." as an adult now, as a Christian now, you know, it so upsets me that I didn't know God enough during some of those moments. My mom, she would write scripture on poster board, and she would put it up on the wall. In my kitchen right now, Christ of the Nations, I have scripture on the poster board, and I have it written all over my wall. And I know it was the prayers of my mom that the Lord heard. And so I just encourage you. I encourage you to give your whole heart to God. And even if that means being on your face before the Lord every opportunity you get, which is where we should be anyway. That's what you have to do.